Anthony Hernandez is looking to take on Michel Pereira. Both of these fighters in the middleweight division are on 3-fight finish streaks. Both of these dudes are savages. They have the ability to end the fight at any time. One's a grinder and one is looking to get you out early, and that's what we're here to break down. A lot of money on the line, pretty straightforward card, but UFC Vegas 99 is upon us. My name is Derick G, folks, welcoming me as always, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, this is kind of like one of those filler warm-up cards for the big pay-per-view 308 Topuria and Holloway next week, but there is money to be made, and we're here to make it for the people, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Derek, man. Like you said, this is a very exciting card. Absolute stars on the headliner that I agree with you deserve to be recognized a little bit more. That's what this week's about. We got bangers on the ones following after that, brother. So it's going to be a very, very fun card this weekend.
The main event is understated, man. Hernandez, Pineda, they should probably be higher in the rankings realistically, but this is like a winner takes all. Somebody climbs the ladder, somebody gets stuck fighting some of these dudes in the lower echelon of that like 8 to 15 type range. So before we break down the UFC Vegas 99 card, we do need to take a step back, look at what last week's action showed us. So AJ, let's go ahead, let's break it down. As you can see here, folks, one minor little just like edit that we're gonna make here. On the right side, AJ won the week. In Jaquani, that should be gold. It's showing red right now, but you got the job done, my friend. 4-1, almost got the big 5-0 on this one time and time again. We lost on the big pick. AJ, this is really the main thing I want to break down. The consensus picks are looking awesome, right? But there's one red that we were really high on, Tatsuro Taira. The price ended up being too high. Raw dog, man. We said this man would be a star if he won. Were we right?
I mean, I don't know if star is the correct word, Derek. We might have been elevating him a little bit too much. I do think this more so solidified exactly where he was. And maybe even himself, man, even the Raw Dog himself said Tyra is a different kind of animal. He had a different strength in there. So no, all credit to Tyra. Nothing taken away. Hell of a fight, but your boy Raw Dog got it done.
He did, man, and honestly, like, this was like a win-win for Tyra because he seems like he's legit as ever. Yeah, he came up short, but it was a close one, split decision. Either way, we bricked on that one. Otherwise, 3-1 on the consensus picks is what you'd love to see. AJ, Garimbo and Price fight to go the distance plus money. I mean, listen, that was like a long shot, but it hit, brother. Talk to the people.
I'm telling you, folks, sometimes you're looking at fight breakdowns, you're looking at the odds over here, and if you're not doing that, you're in the right place. But anyway, man, this is one of those ones that hit me right where I was like, instinctual. This has to hit. Garimbo looked good. Price as well, man. They matched pace with each other. Told you it was going to the distance. Hope you cashed in on this one.
I was on the other end of it, man. I was on the bad break, which is Dawson via sub. I knew that the path to victory was there. AJ, Dawson went so far as to go with the motion to bring the neck up to go for the choke, and I was like, nah, dropped elbows on Rafa Garcia's head and got the dub. So he got the KO. We should have went that way. I bricked on the plus 400, so apologies, folks. But to end on a good note, 1-1 on the parlays. The big heavyweight parlay plus the Pierce money line, excuse me. That was just kind of brick across the board. But Rodriguez Morono over 2.5 rounds and Dawson money line. We hit plus 102. It was chalky. Plus 102 for a parlay. But we got the job done, folks. Gold, what we'd love to see. Enough spending time in the past. Now let's take a step forward. And like we said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run it. UFC Vegas 99. Bet sheet is up, folks. Cue the music. Here we go. All right, man. Consensus picks is what we're starting off with. We got another one here, AJ, where there's 5 total fights on the docket for consensus picks. Michel Pereira, Kyler Phillips, Charles the Energy Johnson, and Jake Hadley. As always, brother, give us our consensus picks theme.
The theme this week, Derek, I'm rocking with is damage, right? All these people can get it done, and if they do, it's going to be a lot of damage involved. I like this one this week.
Let's do the parlays first, and then let's jump into the prop locks. Interesting one right here. Elkins money line plus Jessica Penne money line. Combine them together, plus 367. That's real cash right there. But you got 2 dogs. One's less of a dog than the other. Talk to the people, man. How does this parlay break down?
Folks, if you're looking at the screen right now, you can see it. I'm putting Pineda up in the Elkins fight, but this one I'm edging a little bit for this parlay right here. Very, very close fight with these two. Elkins, he has the ingredients to be able to control the fight. We'll see if he's able to get this one done. And then he partnered that with Jessica Penne, a very experienced fighter who's fought the cream of the crop, going up against a younger Reed right here, Elise Reed, excuse me. Very talented, but still trying to find that way to be able to have good fights against this level of opponents. You partner these together, plus 367. Serious cash on the line here if this one hits.
we're going to talk about this one in a bit, brother, but take the parlay, folks, for what it's worth right there. We got another one, a little chalky again, but Hernandez Pineda over 1.5 rounds could be steep, but I like the price there. Plus the Energy Charles Johnson money line, combine them together plus 120. I think that's a fair parlay right there. So let's see how the dice rolls, but we got some locks in store for you now here. So AJ, Hadley, Smotherman, under 2.5 rounds. This is short notice, folks. Like, you need to have been tapped in like a day ago, because this is when we found out. Minus 155 for the under 2.5 rounds. Talk to him.
Absolutely, Derick. Like you said, short notice for Smotherman in this fight. Didn't have the best performance. He's a little chinny sometimes. Drops his hands a little bit. We'll break down how the actual fight's going to go, but the chips are stacked against Smotherman in this fight. I'm expecting this one to go under that 12.5 minutes.
Smotherman's good. Short notice, though. Interesting story. You're looking to build up on the win that you had last week, so hopefully we can make it 2 in a row. And I'm looking to get back on the win column. Darren Elkins, Daniel Pineda over 1.5 rounds, minus 165. If there's one thing that the damage Darren Elkins can do is win or lose, he can extend a fight. So it's either you get chinned immediately or we see classic damage. That's what the expectation is. And then to round us off, folks, we talked all about our consensus picks, but the one differing pick, contentious pick, it is Elkins on my side, Daniel Pineda on AJ's side. So you had it. That was an extended TLDR, but that is your bet sheet. Run to the sports book. Thank us later. Drop a comment. Let us know how much money we made you. But now, without any further ado, folks, UFC Vegas 99. It's time to break down the main card. Let's get it, folks.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Fluffy Hernandez. He's the headliner right here against Demolidor, Michel Pereira, man. This is going to be a fun one right here because you got, again, kind of a binary matchup. You got the grappler in Fluffy Hernandez who's looking to force the action, nonstop pressure, and in my opinion, looking to survive probably the first 2 rounds and try to extend this fight, get it deep, because Michel Pereira, if there's one thing we know about him, he is a massive middleweight, AJ. Let's talk about that before anything else. I think Fluffy Hernandez, man, he has as good of a shot against most of these dudes in the division to be able to break them over the long term. But Pereira, for whatever reason, it just seems like when he touches people, he has true light heavyweight frame and power in a 185-pound body. And let's not forget, this dude was down at like 170 not that long ago. Come on, brother, talk to me.
That's what I was going to touch on, Derick. He has heavyweight power, but 170-pound speed as well. So this guy's dangerous. He's very athletic in Pineda. He's able to still be that wild man he once was, but we've seen him become more technical. So I'm with you. I expect Hernandez to try to make this fight go a little bit longer into the actual fight, not necessarily go to the distance, right? I don't know if Fluffy's looking to be able to fight just a decision fight right here, but I do expect him to be looking to control and nullify that power and that athleticism that Pineda has.
Both of these dudes are finishers too. That's the other thing. Both on 3-fight finish streaks a pop. Both of these dudes have 5 finishes in the UFC. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. The first thing that we need to pull up here, AJ, of course, is going to be the sheet right here. For those who are watching, for those who are listening, you already know what time it is. But as you can see, the open, minus 170 for Fluffy Hernandez, plus 140 for Michel Pereira. The line right now, minus 135 for Fluffy, and then plus 115 for Pineda. So it's definitely creeping in favor of Demolidor. But the question that I have for you right here is going to be props right here. Just straight off the bat, man. These dudes are very similar in the rankings, but when you're looking at decision props, you're looking at Fluffy Hernandez. When you're looking at knockout props, you're looking at Michel Pereira. How about that plus 185 submission on Anthony Hernandez right there? That's where everybody's looking. You would think that that's being hammered specifically because of, I mean, that's what he does, man. He breaks them down, he submits people. But is that price is there enough value on plus 185 sub for Hernandez given the opponent, is my question.
Given the opponents, the caveat that I want to touch on, Derick, and no, I don't think it is. I expected this to be the submission prop for Hernandez. I expected that to be a plus 200, plus 300 something in there because Pineda is very, very skilled on the ground. I think what's lulling people into this bet right here, or at least the odds makers putting it at this, is the fact that Pineda doesn't really use or doesn't exhaust his ground game going into fights, man. This guy's looking to put on a show. So I don't think Hernandez is going to be able to get the submission on Pineda.
Do you think he'll be able to take him down in the first couple of rounds?
First couple of rounds? I don't think so, Derick. I mean, the explosiveness and the speed that Pineda presents and being able to just jump back and forth, right, cut the cage off, those kind of things I think are going to give Hernandez problems. And that in combination with the striking he has, it's just a whole big puzzle for Hernandez to figure out before he feels comfortable enough to get to those hips.
And it's interesting, right? Because if you look at Hernandez's last fight, he submitted Roman Kopylov. Man, that's a big time win. And you're thinking, oh, he could take him down. He could take Pereira down. But interesting stat. I'm just going to throw it out here. You give me your opinion on this one, or just give me your take. Michel Pereira, he's been taken down one time in 11 UFC fights. Just one single time. However, Anthony Hernandez has landed 25 takedowns in his last 5 fights in the UFC right there. So when you have an immovable force versus like a indestructible object, whatever the phrase, I know I butchered that terribly, folks, but something's got to give. Somebody's going to get taken down or somebody's going to get stuffed right here. I just have a feeling when it comes down to a matchup like this, frame is really important until the later rounds. But I'm not sure if we're going to make it far enough to be able to see the Rodolfo Vieira fight all over again. So without going in circles about it right here, with the binary pick, who do you favor, even though the clash of styles are what they are? Who do you favor in this matchup inherently?
Inherently, man, I favor Pereira. I do think he presents the intangibles and is going to be able to find the moments in the fight that are going to change the tide.
Over under on backflips by Pineda to knee your opponent, a downed opponent, just like, and get away with it. It happened last fight in the Ihor Poteria fight. Over under, what is it?
Oh man, I mean, to be safe, I'm going 1, but I'm taking the over on that, brother. I'm expecting him to hit 2, maybe 3 even. This guy's a wild man.
Believe it or not, I'm going to go under 1 on this one. I think he avoids all of that. He's a smart man. I don't think he plays that game with Anthony Hernandez because once he gets his leg around you, wraps that body triangle, it's a wrap. But the big plays that we need to make note of here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the big screen as always, but I know the over 2.5 rounds right here is plus 110, minus 140 for under 2.5 rounds. So this is a little bit different. For the prop block that I had, I was talking 1.5 rounds, but this is a 2.5er. What do you got? Over under?
That's a hard one, Derek. And I think the over favors Hernandez, the under favors Pereira. I do think this is going to be a very challenging fight, right? Both fighters are very, very skilled. I kind of like the over, but I still think Pereira is going to be able to get it done, man.
I got a gut feeling, man. My gut feeling tells me that the over is where we need to play. I think this fight extends out a little bit longer. I still favor Michel Pereira, and that's what I got for the matchup, man. Power, the ability to be explosive, and the finishing nature of Michel Pereira. When he touches you, it's a little bit different. You saw Anthony Hernandez, man. He'll punch into a takedown. Watch out for the knees. That's all that I'll say. You got anything else on this one?
Watch out for the knees. Watch out for the back flips, the spinning kicks. No, you got a lot of stuff on the plate. Folks, tune in because this is going to be a very, very fun fight.
All right, should be a fun one. That is your main event right there. Lock it in, folks. That's a consensus pick. Moving on to the co-main right here. How times change quick, man. Rob Font, bro, number 10 in the bantamweight division. All right, understood. You're getting a little bit older. It's not a problem. But Kyler Phillips, man, this is a dude that I tried to write off a couple of different times. I'm going to be completely frank, man. I was like, I don't know if he's really that legit. Then he fought Pedro Munoz, and he just kind of picked Pedro Munoz apart. And I was like, wait, okay, hold on. Not a lot of guys can do that. So you have a Kyler Phillips right now. I mean, he's 29 years old, fighting a 37-year-old Rob Font, and he opened up as a minus 225 favorite. AJ, the line has flipped. It hasn't flipped. It has extended massively to him being a minus 450 favorite right now. Live odd, plus 325 comeback for Rob Font. I have to ask this in the most respectful way possible. Is Rob Font a super duper extra live dog in this matchup right here?
He is, Derek. Yeah, especially at that price, man. That's kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of people, that's just disrespectful to the greatness that Rob Font has been putting forth in the octagon, man. He's good. Like classic boxing, especially if Rob Font is able to control the distance, work that jab, and create or mash the distance that Kyler Phillips is trying to use with the kicks and the range attacks that he has, and he just puts the pressure on him. I could see him causing a lot of disruption in the Kyler Phillips style of fight.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but this is just going to be my overall assessment of just like how people are thinking about Rob Font right now. I think they think a couple of things. One, you're getting older at bantamweight, 37 years old. Like that's just not a good sign at all, right? But more important than that, I think they're thinking chinny. This dude can't take a shot anymore. I think that that's the overall consensus right there. And then we also see, do you have the power, the ability to put people away? We're not really seeing that too much from Rob Font, especially if he cannot get that jab going as much as he wants to. Now, that's what I think that people are saying, but we actually have a couple of stats to disprove that. And the first one is, man, if you look at the losses in his last 5, bro, Davison Figueiredo, Corey Sandhagen, Marlon Vera, Jose Aldo. How can you dismiss a man with losses like that?
You can't. And if I'm not mistaken, Derek, none of them are knockouts, right? Like there's some moments in there where he's getting hurt, but none of them are knockouts. So the idea that Rob Font is chinny, I think only comes from the fact that he's getting older in there and resorts only to boxing or resorts only to striking.
I'm glad that you mentioned that too, because the other stat here is that, well, Rob Font, he's been knocked down 5 times in his last 5 fights. Those came in 2 fights. It was the Aldo fight and the Chito Vera fight, man. So it's like, it's the numbers tell a different story from what the consensus feels, which is why this is what I think. I think Kyler Phillips rightfully should be the favorite, but I think that this is a disproportional line where you get 0 value out of Kyler Phillips. So let's talk about where the numbers lie. We know Phillips is nice, extended combinations. This dude lands like an average of 80 significant strikes in his last 5 fights. Volume is high, right? Minus 140 for the decision prop actually makes sense, but minus 140 as like a value, I don't see anything there. So I think the play has to be like an over or something on this one. What do you think, just from what you see here?
Yeah, I'm with you. That's exactly what I was looking at. I think that's the best way for Kyler Phillips to get this win is put on a technical show, a decision. I don't expect him to finish, especially if none of the other fighters that you just listed were able to finish Rob Font. I don't see it happening, but again, no value. Unless you're going to put him with a parlay on something, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And if you're looking at like the over right here, what, minus 240 for the over 2.5 rounds, minus 185 for the, or is this minus on both, man? Hold on. Let me see if I'm looking at this. Yeah, plus 185. There we go. Right, for the under 2.5 rounds. So yeah, they think that this one's going to go down to a decision. I would like to think so as well, right here, just because you just mentioned it, right? Those other dudes, they couldn't stop him. What makes Kyler Phillips going to be able to stop him? Well, I will say there is one thing that Kyler Phillips presents that these other dudes don't, man. He's the new wave. He's the Kitakai guy, man. He mixes up all the martial arts and he extends his combinations out really good between his punches and his kicks. So if there was going to be a finish in this fight, you would have to say it probably would come from the Kyler Phillips side.
Oh, absolutely. To come from the Kyler Phillips side. I just don't think Rob Font presents the pressure and the power that's needed to stop a type of fighter like Phillips.
Not just, yeah, that too. And then also, if you just look at like the finishes, Rob Font's a bigger finisher. Kyler Phillips actually only has 2 finishes in the UFC right now, 4 decisions. So finishes, 1 knockout, 1 submission. Should be interesting. I think decision is definitely the play right here on the side of Kyler Phillips, but I don't see any other value outside of going over 2.5 rounds. Do you?
No, not at all.
So we're going to place this along with a couple of other fights here, but this is like a fit into a parlay spot, not a standalone spot. So fair, Kyler Phillips, man, new wave. This dude should definitely make it happen. We'll see, how it plays out. But let's move on to the next one, man, because this is a really interesting one. The Energy, Charles Johnson, is finally getting some love, dude. This dude's been a dog, like time and time and time again. And then you get Sumudaerji, and they're like, all right, understood. Let's give it a little bit of respect. But AJ, in the flyweight division, yeah, Sumudaerji, he's getting choked out. He's been slept in back-to-back fights. But it's hard to name a lot of dudes with the frame that he has, with the crack that he has with the rear hand in Sumudaerji. So if he can keep the fight standing, Charles Johnson can't particularly just sit and box with this dude, can he?
Oh, no, not at all. And don't get me wrong, no disrespect to the Energy, man. He has hands. He's down to squabble, especially, right? But I think that's where he finds his best is when the chaos is going, he's able to get to those hips and take it down. And that's the game plan that I'm expecting Charles Johnson to use because Sumudaerji does have, and like you said, a long range or a long frame. And Charles Johnson's going to be actually an inch taller, but the way that Sumudaerji utilizes his frame is what's very, very dangerous and can sneak you with that step in right or the step in backhand. And I just don't see Charles Johnson trying to play that game.
Bro, what's interesting though, right? You talked about how, like, on paper, Charles Johnson, he's supposed to be the taller guy. You hear it on the broadcast when they're watching a Sumudaerji fight. They're like, there's no way this dude is 5'8". Like, there's no way. This dude's got to be way taller than that. So I think that there's probably an error when it comes down to it because he looks huge, right? If you look at it, come on, Charles Johnson, 5'9", with what? Just hardly a shorter reach right here. They got him listed out southpaw. This dude's a switch fighter. He could fight on both sides. But yeah, Sumudaerji, man, this dude's a mean striker right here. And the notes that I put down for Sumudaerji myself, and it was really just about the finish rate, man. He's like 88% finish rate in his wins, right? You just got to get the win. Like, that's kind of the key right here. And you have to avoid the number one thing, which I think is going to be the plan of Charles Johnson, which is for him to crush the space, take Sumudaerji down, get rid of that big power, man, and try to choke him out. I think that this is the opportunity. This is why we watch film, because AJ, in my opinion, for Charles Johnson, could be the first UFC submission that we see from him. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any right now. He's got 2 knockouts, no submissions, and 3 decisions right here. So let's take a look really quickly before I didn't even talk about the open, but let's just look at that plus 340 submission prop for Charles Johnson. I'm not saying that that's his go-to because he hasn't shown us that, but you would think you exploit the thing that the guy has been losing from time and time again, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's his easiest, or not, I guess, easiest path, but it's his best path to be able to finish this fight, get him to the ground, like you said, crush distance, get him to the ground, choke him out. I mean, Sumudaerji, especially with that long frame, is going to present opportunities to be able to get some kind of submission going.
And think about it, man. What's going to freeze the striker? The takedown threat. So you have to get him up against the cage, behind that black line, maybe do a little bit of cage wrestling. Just take him down, because Sumudaerji has been taken down in 3 of his 6 UFC fights. So we know that the opportunity is there. But yeah, man, that's my biggest fear, is that Charles Johnson is like, I'm feeling myself so much right now, I'll do whatever. He's going to box with him, and that's where you get in trouble. So let's just look at I have in one of our parlays, right, Charles Johnson just as a pure money line. Right now he's sitting at minus 235. He opened up as minus 200, so more money is coming in on Charles Johnson. But this is just kind of where we have to ask, man. If Sumudaerji is going to get it done, do we see a decision in the cards? Plus 250 to me seems a little generous for a decision prop for him.
It does seem generous, Derek. I wouldn't think we're going to see a decision win from Sumudaerji, especially if Charles Johnson fights the way I expect him to, with the grappling and the pressure that we're going to see him put on. And we've seen Sumudaerji, especially in instances, struggle in the later rounds, right? He takes a little bit of damage. He gets a little, wonky, gets a little wide-eyed, and that's where he suffers. And I don't see that decision happening for Sumudaerji. If it's going to happen, I think he's going to sneak Charles Johnson at that plus 600 TKO early rounds, right? Early, either round 1, round 2, whatever the case, right when they're still a little fresh, that's his best chance to hit on a prop.
Last thing that I want to cover here, man, because I was just saying that I'm glad that the odds makers didn't look at the last fight against Josh Van and be like, all right, his TKO prop is like, plus 200 or something. I'm like, all right, respect. You kept it at plus 800. Decision prop is nice, plus 130, plus 340 for the submission. Clearly, they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing. But my biggest moneymaker right here, in my opinion, man, is looking at the over 2.5 rounds at minus 200 right there, bro. Unless Charles Johnson can secure the finish, I think that minus 200 for over 2.5 on this one, it's flyweight, bro. That's super generous. Like, that is definitely added to a parlay, or even take it as standalone value. Would you take that?
I would take that. That is a very, very smart play. And like you said, Derek, with how dangerous Sumudaerji is at the start and the kind of impact Charles Johnson wants to have, it makes total sense.
All right, fair play, man. So the overall consensus pick is going to be the Energy Charles Johnson, looking to string together, man, 4 wins in a row. Hey, Charles Johnson, 4 wins in a row. That opens things up in what this open flyweight division is looking like right now. And then Sumudaerji looking to avoid 3 straight L's. Who knows what happens after that? That's the play. Charles Johnson, either take the over 2.5 rounds, the money line, or plus 340 sub. You got a lot of plays on this fight. But to move us on, man, short notice, no problem. Folks, you could see some crude black lines over the props here. It's because there were none available at the time of this recording, unfortunately. But we did have one thing, man. And Jake Hadley went from a very tough fight against Brady Highstand, stylistically tough fight in my opinion, to another very stylistically tough fight against Cameron Smotherman. Listen, Smotherman is good. For those who don't know, like this, he should be like on a sleeper, right? But you in the main card, you ready to go. This dude is good. You tripped. AJ, actually, you talked to the people because you mentioned a little bit. He tripped up on the Contender Series. What do you think happened there?
I tripped up on the Contender Series, Derek. I definitely think it was a lot of nerves, right? Because if you go and you look at a lot of the other fights Smotherman has had, he stays crisp. Yeah, he does present some holes in the striking because he likes to overextend, but it seemed like there was a lack of not necessarily awareness, but reactionary to what was going on, and he just got caught. And got caught by a good striker. I forget, unfortunately didn't write it down, forget the guy's name, but still gets caught, gets rocked, not necessarily finished and flatlined, but still didn't live up to what we were expecting out of Smotherman in those fights.
And the dude that he lost to, he's got a kind of wicked name. Apologies. It's Charalampos Gregorio. So, apologies for that one. Yeah, but he got caught, bro. It was a 1-2 combo, man. He got caught with like a hook and a straight and just sat him down. All right. Well, what do you do to bounce back? You win via a jumping flying knee in your next fight. You get a split decision, and then you come back and get an anaconda choke in the 3rd round in his most recent fight in Fury FC. So this dude's legit. The Texas fighting scene is legit. And what's more interesting than anything else, man, is if I pull up the big screen real quick, you'll see, look at this, man. This isn't like some young kid or anything. It's like these dudes, 28, 27, 5'9", 5'7". The only difference here is just the level of experience Jake Hadley has. So I'm going to say all of that to go roundabout to say, I think and I believe that Cameron Smotherman, it's like, finally, you're at the big show. Nice. I just don't know if this is the opportunity on like what? I don't know what the official number is, but what, 2 days notice or something? And this dude apparently is going to make 135. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready, man. But what is there to talk about in this matchup other than Jake Hadley? Play it safe. It's probably going to be a striking battle. Try to maybe avoid getting taken down and submitted, but just play your game. Try to get the points. Trying to get the points victory, which is what I see here. But there's no props for us to break down, and there's no value on a minus 520 Jake Hadley. So this is a stay away for the sake of what we're covering, though. What's the path?
Yeah, for the sake of covering Derick, I mean, if you're Jake Hadley, and I like him in this fight because I do think it's going to be very striking oriented. I had in my notes, right? He needs a little bit more output, but I think with this style of fighter, he needs to stick to what he works best, man. Jab, left, straight. Like just work the combos, stay technical, stay solid, and just get out there, man. Clean and glide.
Yeah, man. His only losses are to grapplers. So, like I said, if you avoid that, you should be in a good spot. He has been taken down in 5 of his 7 fights, though. So, if there is a chance for an upset for Cameron Smotherman, just let me ask you that. Humor me here, right? I know Hadley is the consensus pick. And then, like I said, Smotherman, this just might not be the perfect timing for it. But do you throw like $5 and just be like, come on, 350? What is it sitting at right now? It's currently sitting at, there is not even a live odd right now. I ain't even got nothing for you. But that was 350 where we were at. What do you think?
I mean, $5, sure, fuck it, send it on it all day long because Smotherman is very, very talented. I'd feel more confident in a bigger bet on Smotherman at these odds, like one more fight in his career. I just want to see how he actually handles, especially the pressure of being in the actual octagon now instead of the Dana White Contender Series. Like, there's a lot of pressure on this fight. 2 days short notice. He has the potential to be a star. We just got to see him put it into action. So $5 sounds worthy to me.
Hey, man, you know what's crazy is they say that the Contender Series is going to be more pressure than a spot like this because there is no pressure. There's no expectation. 2 days notice or whatever. Go in there and have some fun and let's see what happens. So Jake Hadley, that's the play. I believe in Smotherman, but just not this week. All right, man. Moving on down, the opening fight of the card, UFC Vegas 99. Darren the Damage Elkins versus Daniel Pineda, man. One thing you can't understate about Daniel Pineda, because he kind of seems like one of those fill-in guys, right? That you're just like, oh, you're looking for a fun fight? Cool, let's throw him in there. 100% finish rate, 28 wins, 28 finishes, baby. Let's go. Like, let's not forget about that. And to match him up with the Damage, I don't know. Someone pissed somebody off. Something happened here, bro, because this is not a fun fight for either of these guys. I think stylistically, these are like the worst matchups that you could ask for because Pineda is going to punish you early. He's going to punish you bad. He's going to try to take away the legs of Elkins, but the Damage does what the Damage does, and he takes damage and he keeps on keeping on. So this is our one contentious pick. AJ, talk to me about the Daniel Pineda side. If he wins, it probably has to be early, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I hesitate a little bit because he can get it done later in the rounds, but the more damage and the more of a crazy brawl fight you have with Darren Elkins, the more it's in his favor. So the quicker that Daniel Pineda can get the job done, that's going to be his best path to victory for this one. I mean, he has a solid ground game, solid all around, but you got to be worried about that mental fortitude that Damage has.
Shout out to the great Daniel Cormier, Darren Elkins. Brawl and sprinkle in some takedowns. That's the game plan, right? Like that's it. That's what Cormier says. That's all he needs to do, and that's all he does do. And if you look at his last fight, for an example, man, I thought it was really interesting because this dude, man, listen, you're fighting TJ Brown, downtown TJ Brown, who I'm super high on. I'm pretty sure he got cut from the UFC, but I'm telling you, that dude's good. But to be able to face his power and just perfectly time those double legs to blast in, get him down, awesome. My only worry is if you look at Daniel Pineda and you think that this dude's just going to stand up and try to knock you out, or if he gets taken down, it's a wrap. No. That's not how it happens. 5 finishes in the UFC, 1 knockout, 4 submissions. All right, AJ, plus 600 submission prop for Daniel Pineda. Talk to us.
Ooh, I think they're giving a lot of respect to Darren Elkins on this one, especially because of the way when fights hit the ground, right? He just has a kind of style that's hard to finish, right? The Damage, especially if you get him cut, you get him in a brawl, this guy's going to bleed. And then it's even harder to actually submit him, get it going. I like this prop, though, for Daniel Pineda because he has multiple options and multiple ways to finish the fight. Like you said, Derek, 100% finish rate. It's hard to bet against him in a finish. It's just... you got the Damage staring at you, brother. There's always that caveat.
Listen, man, the last time that we saw 2 old dudes go at it, right? The Court McGee and, man, I'm blanking. Who did he just fight?
Dirty Bird?
The dirt. Yeah, it was, right? So it was the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, and Court McGee. And I'm like, these 2 old dudes, man, they're going to fight to a decision. This is what we see time and time again. Court McGee finishes him in the first round, chokes him, bro. So I'm like, sheesh. All right, well, that's not the bet to make. AJ, on this one, odds for a finish right here. Doesn't really matter from either camp. The odds are there. Who hits it, man? Who gets a finish out of this one? If that is the play.
If the finish, I'm rocking with Pineda on this one. Absolutely. He's the guy that's kind of power. So I thought you were going again, brother.
No, you're good. You did straight away. Pineda. All right, fair play. Well, I like Darren Elkins here because I think he takes damage and he doesn't stop. And as long as he doesn't get flatlined, you have to turn him off to beat him, right? So as long as he doesn't get turned off, I think Darren Elkins can win this one. But more importantly, Look at his odds, man. I just thought the props were really interesting. Plus 475 for a TKO and a submission, plus 350 for a decision. The reason I think that those are his odds there is because I think Daniel Pineda, don't get me wrong, man. If you look at him, he's how would you say, win or die, whatever the correct phrasing is, by the finish, right? I think sometimes, man, you get into that bad spot and you might just be like, all right, well, I'm going out on my shield this go around, and you just take the TKO, you take the submission, whatever, call it a day, fight again. So, of those two, humor me for a second, man. Submission or a TKO for Darren Elkins if a finish happens?
Submission.
Interesting. This should be a fun one right here, man. Pineda opened up as minus 150. He's currently minus 105. Elkins now went from plus 125 open to minus 115 favorite. So I take it back. Before we were talking about Elkins being a dog play, you better go and cash in, folks. We've already been identifying the plays. Get it while you can. But then again, if you're tailing AJ, you're seeing immense value on Daniel Pineda here. So to lock it in, that's our contentious pick right there. May the odds ever be in your favor. Shout out to the Hunger Games, you know what I mean? But with that being said, my friend AJ, we're not done here, man. That was it for the main card, right? But we got some bonus plays, baby. And these are going to be interesting. So I'm going to preface this one. Normally, our bonus plays are pretty dialed in, right? We'll take a couple of plays and say, which ones are the best one? What do we agree with? What do we not? AJ, as always, is going to be our arbitrator of truth, whatever the phrase is. I'll get it right one of these days. But he will be the man who tells you if this is the play or if this is not the play. We're going to start with a play that you disrespected immensely, but I'm here to play devil's advocate, sir, and I'm going to put a little something on here. Elise Reed by decision plus 105 over Jessica Penne, the OG. I'm going to give you my reasoning and then just give us the final take. I think Elise Reed is a rightful favorite in this fight. If I'm taking a look at the fight just in general, she's younger, minus 180 favorite, just a pure money line. Jessica Penne, let's not forget, she's like 41 years old, something like that. I think that Jessica Penne's game is going to be predicated on grappling, and that's going to be her path to victory to win against Elise Reed. Both of these fighters have both been fighting a bunch of grapplers and have been losing fights to these grapplers. So Elise Reed knows everyone's going to try to do this to me. The only difference is for Jessica Penne, you got to deal with the striking, man. And when she fought somebody who's, man, I'm blanking on her name, bro. You know her name. Took her legs out. Who am I talking about? I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to find it right now, folks. Bear with me for just 1 second. You don't got it? All right, I got it for you right here. Emily Ducote right there, right? Gordita right there. I think that's her nickname right there. Listen, took her legs away, man. With the striking, Elise Reed's got that sick kickboxing Muay Thai kind of style. A decision play at plus 105, I just thought was fantastic, immense value right there that you just throw on there and just see what happens. What do you think?
I mean, it is value, Derek. I like this one if you're a Reed better, because I'm with you. Like the style that she has and then the potential that Elise Reed has to grow from, which we've seen her doing before, it's all there, right? The intangibles are there. Great team, great coaching, great style when she can get into the mix. I just think that Jessica Penne, above all, has seen and done and fought the multitude of different styles of fighters, that she's able to switch it up and provide something different that Elise Reed hasn't seen yet. So that's why I was going against you on this one, man. As far as the Penne or the Elise Reed by decision, I do think if how the fight's going to end, it'll be by decision on this one, though.
Fair play. I mean, if you look at it, yeah, you got subbed by Ricci, but decision against Ducote, she was able to go the full distance there. She's even getting finishes, man. I mean, it's on the table. Let's not forget, right? She got choked out in the last one. She won a decision against Jinyu Fry, who's like an atom weight, you know what I mean? So I can see where you're coming from right there. All right, man. That was the first play. Next up, Energy, Charles Johnson. He's already a consensus pick, but my play is Charles Johnson by decision plus 130. I like the odds there. What do you think?
I like the odds there, especially with Sumudaerji. If Sumudaerji is able to find some moments in the beginning, right, I think this fight's going to get extended. We already said we like the over. Charles Johnson by decision makes a lot of sense with the just control that he's going to be able to have.
All right, man, a big fight that we have not talked about, and I'm actually happy that we do get a quick moment to throw a little bit of shine on it. But we're going to be talking about Mateus Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. AJ, these dudes don't know about Almabayev, man. This guy is good, right? What is he on? I think he's on like a 19-fight win streak or something crazy like that, but definitely undefeated in his last 5. Jose Johnson, you remember this dude's like a 6-foot flyweight, you know what I mean? Yeah, you got the dub on him. Oh, before that, CJ Vergara, all right, cool, whatever. But now you run into a different test. This is a different caliber of fight right here. Coming off of back-to-back losses, or you got knocked out in both of those fights, man, you don't really like the odds of a dude trying to come back and chase the victory because he might do something a little bit different. But let's not forget, the play that I have right here is Almabayev pure money line, minus 190. Nothing fancy. What do you think?
I like it, Derek, and I see why it's a minus odd right here too, especially going up against Nicolau, who, like you said, is probably going to be hunting to put on a performance, but that's also just naturally in him as well, man. And I definitely think against a style of fighter that is the Kazakhstani Asumabayev, man, he's going to have trouble finding the moments where Nicolau can be explosive. I like Asumabayev in this fight.
That's it, minus 190 play. And then the final play right here is one where I just have extensive history betting on this fighter and betting against this fighter as well. So I want to talk about it right here, man. This is Jocelyn Edwards versus Tamires Vidal. And I've bet on both of these fighters. I've actually been extensive fans of both of these fighters. And one thing that we know about Edwards, even though she's lost her last two, is if she can avoid getting taken down, she will just tap you up, bunch of little leg kicks and calf kicks. She will point her way to a victory. And I'm super confident in that one. Vidal, what I like about her, man, she's got the power. But again, she got knocked out by Melissa Gatto right there, right? And then before that, the Montserrat Rendon split decision loss, which I thought she won the fight, but whatever. It is what it is. But before that, man, look, she heel hooks, you know what I mean? TKOs, the whole against Ramona Pascual. I remember that one. That was kind of a weak TKO. But here's the point, man. Jocelyn Edwards, just pure money line right here. I think the value should be much deeper on this in this matchup. Minus 150 for a decision. Sorry, I said money line, but a decision for Jocelyn Edwards. That's how she wins, bro. What do you think?
That's how she wins. She also has the size, she has the distance, she has the tools to be able to nullify what her opponent's going to be fighting at, man. And I was looking at this one as a sleeper, actually, Derek. And if Vidalkin is able to push the pressure and push the pace, I see this as a hard fight. But sometimes Jocelyn Edwards, and I know you have a little hesitation, if you will, betting with Jocelyn Edwards, but every now and then, man, she brings the thug out and she's able to put some knuckles to work. And especially with the pressure fighter, I think this is going to be one of those fights.
I will just give you guys one caveat, one disclaimer, is Jocelyn Edwards has been on the right side, like on the winning side of a lot of very controversial decisions. So people betting with her or against her, it's always an interesting play. So not a safe pick, but AJ, we've gone through all of those plays. It is now time for you to tell us what is the bonus play. What is the UFC Vegas 99 bonus play?
The bonus play right here, folks. Charles Johnson, energy by decision on a plus 130 bet all day long.
Yeah. I like that too. All right, fair enough. Folks, that was your bonus play, but we are not done here. I'm going to keep the bonus plays on the screen. We're going to move on over to the coveted section, the unknowns of today, but the stars of the tomorrow, the people that you need to know. Sleepers, baby.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're going to sleep on me and I'm going to wake you up.
All right, folks, again, for the uninitiated, we got some good stuff in store. This is the opportunity for you to say, I don't got time to watch all of these fights. I'll probably tap into a couple of fights on the main card, but if I needed to hop in on the prelims, if I need to be the cool guy at the function, at the party, I know where the good fight is and I know how to identify it. So again, the unknowns of today, the stars of tomorrow, and AJ, you legitimately have very unknowns of today. So let's break it up right here. Brother, take it away.
Absolutely. We got some fun ones, folks. Elise Ardelin versus Melissa Martinez. Man, what can I say? These two fighters are very much finishers, right? Ardelin, 8 wins by finish, 4 submissions, 4 KOs, and she took Mama B to a split decision. So if you're a fan of Mama B, you know how impressive that actually is. Martinez, 5 finishes, all of them KOs. Both fighters right here. Why I like this one. Both fighters in their debuts, in their UFC debuts, went to decisions. And in their natural habitat, in their natural state, they're finishers. So I'm expecting them to try to put on a display, put on a performance, and look for those finishes, whether it's a submission or it's a knockout.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a fun one. I always love the talent coming out of the pipeline that is Combate Global, so that's going to be a fun one for sure right there. Tune in, folks. Should be a banger. True unknowns that can legitimately be the stars of tomorrow. And for me, folks, I cheated. Sorry, but listen, man, we got Robles, Despain versus Austin Lane. And listen, I'm going to make it super easy for you guys. Austin Lane, 100% finish rate, 11 knockouts, 1 submission. He's only seen round 2 in 4 fights. 23% of the fights that he's gone to are going past, the first round, right? 6'6" Goliath. Well, Despain, you already know everything you need to know about this guy. 100% finish rate, young in his MMA career. Never seen a round 2 ever, right? And he is 6'7". So with that being said, Despain, man, This dude has an opportunity to right the wrongs that were his last fight, because a lot of people are saying fraud. Check. I take it back. He said he'd never been to past the first round. It wasn't his last fight. Sorry, we don't count that because the Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. We're just, listen, we're still building up the hype that is Robles to Spain right here. But just understand this, man. I think that this is a sleeper not only for the obvious reasons that these are heavyweights, Goliaths, and all that stuff, man. I think both of these dudes coming off of the losses are looking for real things to prove. And here's an even bonus, extra little caveat to the sleeper: Austin Lane could actually win this fight, and you might see a real dog play right here. So let me just check what the odds are on this one, and then we'll bounce up out of here. The odds on Austin Lane right now, plus 270. We just saw Robles to Spain. If it goes past a round, things get real ugly, right? And Austin Lane, he's already done it a couple times. I'm just saying, AJ, just real quick. I know we're past sleeper at this point. Dog odds, Austin Lane, you taking it?
Absolutely, Derek. I was going to choose this as a sleeper if you weren't. I like Austin Lane in this fight. He just needs to be able to chill for a little bit, use his range, and he can find those holes that Robles de Spain actually presents.
That's it. Should be a fun one. Those are your sleepers, folks. Tap in. You know what time it is. But now, AJ, it's time to jump into some news and notes. And here's the good news, man. I actually got a couple of fun things that we should talk about here today. And the first one is real life application. Folks, I want to just point this on out here before we jump into our news and notes section. If you don't train a combat sport, you should. It's just as simple as that. You absolutely should. Individual sports are very important. But more important than that, you're going to find reality, like what reality is. We all walk around delusional, and that's okay. It's your own reality. But if you can understand what people are capable of, you'll just maneuver. Your behaviors will be a little bit different. So the first thing that I want to pop open here, AJ, is it's going to be, let's see. Sorry. Close that out. Here we go. Let's start with this one. All right, let me give you some context. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see Amanda Ribas, 125-pound fighter, right? That's what she... And let's not forget, right? That's where she fights at. She probably walks around like 140, maybe 150. I don't know what she walks around at. But I'm going to turn off the sound, or I'm just going to turn the sound really far down. But look at this grown-ass man. This is a big dude, man. They say he's a bodybuilder. I don't know who this guy is, but just look at what we're saying. She's all giggling like a schoolgirl too, right? She's about to put it on him, right? Stays away. Boom! Look at this, AJ. Check this out. So you're gonna see, all right, whatever. Wait till he gets up. First off, homeboy's like, what just happened to me? Bruh. And look, she gonna come up. She said, oh, I did that? Yeah, bro. 125-pound fighter. Listen, I'm just saying this because you see this at the gym every day in jiu-jitsu, man. These big dudes think that they know what's up. They go and roll. Obviously, no punches or nothing were thrown here, but you just got tossed by a 140-pound girl, whatever the case may be. Give me your takes here.
I love it, man. When I saw this one pop up on Twitter, y'all already know, if you're a fan of this show, you know I love Amanda Ribas and her spirit and going into this, man. She's always happy, win or lose, die trying. I love it, man. And this is absolute case. Use somebody's force against them. Just because people are big and quote unquote scary doesn't mean jack anything. Everybody bleeds, especially people who don't know how to keep their hands up. A lot of times it's those big guys.
Nah, bro, you don't get it, man. I just see red, and when I see red, bodies hit the floor, bro. They just drop. Like, come on. This is what happens, folks. We think that, and then we get grabbed, and there's a beautiful clip, man. I can't play it right here, but it was hilarious. It was like, I think it was Cameron. He was all like, man, they have you in some moves. You don't even know what you in. You can't even tap because your hand don't reach the floor, bro, and you might die just because you're getting choked and you can't even, oh, bro. Hey, listen, that... That's a good way to start off the news and notes right here. All right, now I got some not great news here that I'm going to bring to the table, AJ. So I don't want to be a bummer, but let's go ahead and let's pull it back up. So first thing first, where is he at? Your boy, Cowboy Cerrone. He says he's ending retirement. I want 2 more UFC fights, bro. I'm looking to surpass Matt Brown. I want to have the most fights, the most walks to the cage, the most wins, whatever the case may be. I'm not even going to read the article. The article doesn't matter. AJ, no, just no, right? Come on, what are we talking about?
Just no. That's the best way to say it, Derek. I mean, I love Cowboy Cerrone. I love when he goes in there and fights, but we've seen the decline of Cerrone. One thing we don't need in the UFC is old people coming back in and trying to get 1 more, nonetheless 2 more.
And dog, he is openly on steroids. And it's like, I have to then piss clean. I have to get off this for a little bit, go fight. Your body going on, off. Listen, time your cycle properly. Do what you need to do, man. But this is the real key right here. Yeah. We're not even gonna play it. Dana White cancels it. Let's figure something else out. How about we do something else? How about like we said we did, but we didn't? How about we do that? You know what I mean? I'm just gonna leave it there, man. Love the OGs, but the OGs gotta understand that it's a young man's game, and Father Time is undefeated. All right, let's see what else we got. Dana White, again, popular guy these days.
All right,
So
here we go.
before we play this, he says, I have a meeting to fix the rankings to get all these know nothing, do nothing motherfuckers out of it, which I respect. But it's interesting to see, how do you have, like, they say it's media who pretty much does the ranking. So what do the rankings mean? What is it other than a marketing tactic to sell a fight, right? So let's just listen to what
I know it's reversed. Can't see it on here. But the moron strike again. Khalil Roundtree fights that badass fight against Pereira.
And let's not forget, right? Roundtree, I think he was number 8, getting an opportunity to fight the champ. And where does he stay?
And the morons rank him number 8. Keep him at number 8. Literally this week, I have a meeting to try to fix the rankings and get all these know nothing, do nothing motherfuckers out of it. So hopefully this week I get this fixed.
All right. Give me your take.
I mean, it's hard, Derek, because in classic sports, right, you have to beat somebody to take what they got. So I can see logically where people are thinking, like, all right, he didn't beat the champ, so therefore he just keeps his place at number 8 because he didn't beat anybody else to get above there and go for that. But if you go and look at UFC, you see what Dana White is talking about, the style that Khalil Roundtree presents, the force and everything that went into that fight. He obviously has elevated his skill set. Now, the question is, has he elevated enough to beat number 2, number 3? That's the question at hand. I can see where Dana White gets a little frustrated with it, but it is a very obscure thing that they're just trying to put numbers on to sell more tickets.
Yeah, man. To me, it's a Tatsuro Taira type situation, right? Like, you lost, right? It's different because he decisioned and Khalil Roundtree got knocked out, right? But you lost, but you showed how valiant you were, and you showed that you gave the dude who was the guy, you gave him a tough fight. You deserve to move up. Yeah, you don't take their number. But a spot, one spot, something. He's still he's a number 7 fighter, and all these other dudes are getting starts. But that's what Khalil Roundtree was able to do. That's all that I'm saying right here. I think you just need to have. Why don't you compile a board of just former fighters and they do the rankings? You know what I mean? Like somebody who actually understands the sport. I'm not saying that that's not a flawed perspective, but I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way that you gotta. It's dudes who ain't never fought or done nothing like that being in charge of people's opportunity. Really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that you said that, Derek, because why not the referees, right? I could see a little bias going into them, but they're supposed to be the most unbiased going in total. And a group of them together, I think that makes the most sense, biases aside.
Yeah, fair play. All right, man. Well, let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is a fun one right here, man. See if it comes to fruition. All right, man. So I got to like kind of chop this up because shout out to Ariel Helwani, but we ain't getting flagged over here. Listen, the point is this dude, I saw a video by that dude, MMA Guru. I don't often shout out other YouTube people, but he's like an infamous YouTube guy about MMA. I thought it was really interesting because he was all like, Topuria is doing something that like we haven't seen since Conor, which is you're in such a high pressure opportunity and you're putting so much pressure on yourself by saying these outlandish things that you're going to do. It better come to fruition. Let's hear what Topuria had to say about Holloway.
We'll see what he's going to do. I will be in the middle of the octagon, so let's bang, bro.
So he says he's going to step into the middle of the cage. All right, where are we going here?
If you're ready, I was born ready.
Well, so you are predicting this. You are saying first 10 seconds, you're going to walk to the middle of the cage. You're going to point down.
First 10 seconds, I'm going to point the middle of the octagon, and I will stay there. I want to give the best and the most excited 10 seconds in the UFC history to the fans.
So he's not only saying, I'm going to go to the middle of the cage, I'm going to point down, we're going to have a Max Holloway moment. He's more or less alluding to, I'm going to knock him out in these 10 seconds, bro. So I'm going to give you the best 10-second fight you've ever seen in your life. And still, what is your take here?
Wild man, brother. I mean, this is one of those things, maybe you're into visualization and projection and all that stuff, and I hope it comes to actual fruition for you, but you're standing toe-to-toe with a crazy-ass Hawaiian trying to point at the ground. You better get those hands up.
Hey, that is one thing that he did say in their face-off, the little online face-off. He was all like, listen, the difference between me and you need to see it, then you believe it. I believe it, and then I see it. And I was all like, that's bars, kind of, but then I was like, but is it? I was like, ain't that the basis of all this? Not other, anyways, that's another story for another time. You feel me? But hey, interesting play right there for Ilia Topuria. Like I said, man, if he gets flatlined by Holloway, oh, bro, How can you live it? You can't live it down. You can't. All right. Last couple ones and we'll get up out of here, man. I thought this was interesting right here. Larissa Pacheco, right? Current or the most recent $1 million winner at PFL in the Kayla Harrison weight class right there, which is what, 155. She says that the PFL mocking of Kayla Harrison prior to UFC 307 was uncalled for. Some good sportsmanship here. Check this out, man. I thought this was an interesting marketing play too, because I was like, she's literally the best thing that's ever happened to your company aside from Ngannou, and that's All right.
Here's how an all-time PFL great Kayla Harrison was upset by Larissa Pacheco in 20.
So first off, it's just like let me just ask you, just seeing that off the bat, you're like, all right, Kayla Harrison. Without Kayla Harrison, PFL probably would be way less known because she was the big star, right? She leaves and you immediately start disrespecting. Like, what's your take on that?
Unfortunately, Derek, not out of character for a lot of organizations out there. So I'm not that surprised. You got to put some shine on the next person up. The other person's out the door.
In 2022, Pacheco added a section to Kayla Harrison's MMA story that nobody saw coming when she beat her in a unanimous decision in the PFL Championship. Harrison was widely regarded as the best female MMA fighter. She was a two-time gold.
I'm just going to stop there. Was widely regarded as the best female MMA fighter. Let's not forget that Kayla Harrison's already beat Larissa Pacheco, right? So like the way that the frame ended up is like, oh yeah, so Larissa Pacheco is like the best, right? Now, and it's like, is she? And you beat Kayla Harrison? Maybe she is, right? But come on, dog. Kayla Harrison said, I need to go to see where the best fighters fight, and that's the UFC. And if Kayla Harrison, who was smashing everybody in the PFL for obvious reasons, comes to the UFC, and in her last fight, you saw the turmoil that just went down against Viviane Araujo, or not Araujo, who was it? Ketlin Vieira. There we go, against Ketlin Vieira, man. That's number 2, number 3 in the division. I'm just saying. Anything else on that one?
I'm all for marketing, Derek. You got to push the narrative. You got to push. I don't agree that she's the best ever. Maybe the best in the PFL. Could have phrased it a little different.
Fair play. All right. Well, we made it to another outro. Folks, we said this was like a filler-ish card for the big one next week, Topuria versus Holloway. That's going to be fun, man. But in the interim, there is always money to be made week in and week out, especially when you tune into the Bloody Water podcast. We didn't plug it, but if you are here watching at this point, we're not just on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed yet, you absolutely should. But you could actually now check us out pretty much wherever you get your podcast at. Apple Podcasts, of course, Spotify. If you have a third-party player, you could definitely check us out there. But this is my ask. If you watch us, subscribe, comment, all that. If you listen, rate us 5 stars. That's all that I got for you. We're going to keep winning you money. And AJ, take us out of here as you always do, my friend.
It's going to be a fun fight week, folks. Like Derek said, it may be a filler card going into this one, but you know what that means. Going to fill your pockets right here with the Bloody Water podcast. We're making you money. So like Derek said, subscribe. It's going to be a very fun one. Get excited for next week as well.
That's it for us, folks. Until next time, catch us on the flip. Peace.